I'm not going to introduce the next speaker, actually. So I'm going to welcome to the stage Gene Rocker, who's Vice President of Genius Plaza, and he's going to introduce our next speaker. Welcome, Gene.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gene Roca. As John said, I'm with Genius Plaza, global sponsor of Innovation Africa 2018. It's my pleasure and my honor to introduce today Dr. Alberto Carvalho. Dr. Carvalho has served as Superintendent of Miami-Dade County Public Schools, the fourth largest school district in the US since September 2008. The district serves 500,000 students from over 100 countries and has annual capital and operating budget of $7.2 billion and over 50,000 employees, including 22,000 teachers. Dr. Carvalho is nationally recognized expert on education transformation, finance, and leadership development. During his tenure, Miami-Dade County School District has become the nation's highest performing urban school system, receiving state system accreditation from Advanced in 2014 and America's Nobel Prize in Education, the Board Prize. His honors include Florida 2014 Superintendent of the Year, 2014 and 2018 National and Urban Superintendent of the Year. He also won the Harold McGraw Best International Education in 2016. Dr. Carvalho has been awarded many honorary degrees, including a Doctor of Public Service and a Doctor of Humane Letters. He currently is also Distinguished Fellow at Harvard University Kennedy School of Government and is knighted by Portugal and Mexico. Dr. Carvalho will share today his personal experience, a multilingual citizen of the world, and the success of the Miami-Dade County public school system in creating an environment where bilingual education is made available to students throughout their school career and how it improves student outcomes and overall economic health of the community. Last but not least, Dr. Carvalho will recognize 3 local students and their teacher for having produced the best indigenous language educational video. Dr. Carvalho, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I think before I speak, there's actually a short video that will tee up the conversation, why education, why it is important, and the impact that education has had in the United States of America, particularly in Miami, one of the poorest communities in America, but now the highest performing urban school system in my nation. Let's roll it.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah.
I'm running with this plan. Pull me, grab us in the bucket, can't have me. I'll be the president one day. January 1st, oh, you like that gossip? Like you the one drinking what gossip.com. Now I got a word for your tongue. How many Rolling Stones you want? Yeah, I got a brand new spirit speaking and it's done. Woke up on the side of the bed like I won. Talk like the wind in my chest to that sun. G5 in the US to Taiwan. Now who can say that? I wanna play back. Mama knew I was a needle in a haystack. Oh, golly boy, plus Maybach. I got a feeling it's a rap. ASAP.
Get a good feeling, yeah. Get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. Get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
The mountains high, walk on water. I got power, feel so royal. 1 second, I'ma strike for you. Diamond, platinum, no more for you. That adrenaline, never giving in. Giving up's not an option, gotta get it in. Witness, I got the heart of 20 men. No fear, go to sleep in the lion's den. That glow, that spark, that crown. You're looking at the king of the jungle now. Stronger than ever, can't hold me down. 100 miles gunning from the pitcher's mile. Straight game face, it's game day. See me running through the crowd full of melee. No trick plays, I'm Bill Gates. Take a genius, Love the life that we live in.
Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. I get a good feeling, yeah. Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. I get a good feeling, yeah.
So thank you. I'm going to be very brief with my remarks today, but I want to speak about elements that, quite frankly, are transformative to the lives of children, transformative to communities, transformative to entire nations. And I'll tell you why. The probability that today I would be speaking to honorable representatives of African nations concerned with the economic viability and the education of your nations is very high. And I'll tell you why. Improbable, for there's no reason that I belong on this stage. You see, I was born into poverty, a family of 7 kids. 6 of them did not graduate high school. 2 of them died too early. I grew up in a room without electricity or plumbed water. A curtain separated my parents from us kids. I was the only one to graduate high school, so what right do I have to speak before you? Well, the right that I have is that change is possible. And education is the enabler of transformation, the enabler of transforming societies and communities and nations, elevating the dignity and possibility for all. As an immigrant to America, as once a homeless student in America, as someone who once worked washing dishes in America, to today lead the highest performing urban school system in my country, is improbable but not impossible. Improbable but not impossible. So I'd like to, for 2 minutes, talk about this transition from the impossible to the inevitable. The impossible to the inevitable. Impossible conditions that children across the world may face. Inequities, lack of health care, clean water, often access to education, particularly those who may have 1 or more disabilities. Poverty, sometimes prejudice. That transition from the impossible to the inevitable, and the inevitable being the possibility of creating a future not just for some, but for everyone, for every child, through my eyes as a child of the same God, with the same God-given opportunity, the same talent, and the same promise of a better future. Now, why do I preach this? Because I am living example proof that it is possible. That transition from the impossible to inevitable requires 3 things. Number 1, belief. Belief that every single child can indeed achieve. You see, I have never met a broken child, but I have met systems of broken adults who break the spirits, the dreams, and the aspirations of children. It is not the fault of children when they don't learn. If they don't learn, it is because the adult has got it wrong. So I believe in that. Belief is important. Skill, knowing what to do, how to do it, and when to do it is important. And then the very last one, the one which I will close with, is will. And will is more powerful than belief or skill, for will is the courage to do the right thing. And when it comes to children, doing the right thing is always the right thing, for any time is the right time to do the right thing for the right people. And there are no righter people than children, innocent children. In America, the richest country on earth, that also has the highest poverty on earth. In Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in all corners of our globe. Opportunity for children. So let me take you very quickly through 10 existentially important, easy steps that a school, a system, a nation can take to take a system of education from being lowest performing, as Miami-Dade was 10 years ago, to today being the highest performing urban system in America. And there are 15,000 school systems. How does that transition happen? Well, number one, and some of the speakers spoke about this, effective leaders are important. In my school system, you are not a principal, you are not a leader if you are not an instructional leader, if you do not understand pedagogy, if you do not understand data-driven results, if you do not understand strategy and differentiated instruction. Secondly, the most important factor that impacts directly a child is the effectiveness of a teacher. Far more important than the degrees of the teacher, how long they've been teaching, the effectiveness of the teacher. The skill set that that teacher has to directly impact that child. The third element is digital literacy. My friends, we are living in a new globalized economy where knowledge is the traded good. Those who are currently in digital deserts without access to technology are facing an educational deficit in time, an economic gap. Access to digital content that's personalized and adaptive is a moral imperative of our right. It is a human right that cannot be denied children just because of where they're born, where they live, how poor they are, or how needy they may be. The next element, and I want to be specific about this, is the issue of bilingual skills. And I speak from the heart, for I speak 5 languages. Unfortunately, not a single one of those is an African language or dialect, but I'm learning. Give me time. Give me time. After all, I do know how to say asante. Why is bilingualism or multiculturalism and multilingualism so important? My friends, in this knowledge economy, communication is a traded good. If you cannot communicate effectively, you cannot lead, you cannot trade, you cannot improve, you cannot transform, you cannot change. And now is a time for this continent that I love and I have studied for decades to understand this. Yes, English and French may be important, but nativism is also critical. And we cannot go from colonial monolingualism, one single language, to African monolingualism. Here's my take. It is better to speak 2, 3, or 4 languages with an accent than just one perfectly. That is why whether I visit Kenya or I visit right here beautiful Zimbabwe, I love the accent of the people, for they speak more than one with an accent. They can communicate, and if you can communicate, you can influence. If you can influence, you can drive others to change. Effective communication is the enabler of the new technology and the new global knowledge economy. The next element is choice. Creating schools that are thematically arranged, enabling students to pick the field they want. What is wrong with a middle school student or a high school student with picking the performing arts or the fine arts, music, or robotics, or computer science, or coding, and wrap the teaching of that child around something that excites them? In my school system, we have 1,000 different choice programs, meaning children can go to whatever school they want because choice is important. Children should not be arrested to low-performing schools because they are the closest schools to where they live. Empowering communities through choice is important. Give parents a choice, give students a choice, and they will succeed. The next element is interpersonal and intrapersonal skills. Yes, the teaching and learning of mathematics, of science, of language arts is important. Knowing one's history is crucial, lest we repeat it again and again. But in this new world economy, interpersonal skills and intrapersonal skills are vital. To be able to exercise emotional restraint, to be able to think in complex ways, to be able to work with teams of diverse and different people, is what will make or break a society. We have seen examples of that. This is the knowledge economy. And in a knowledge economy, that one who can transcend national, linguistic, political, racial, and ethnic barriers shall win the day. That one who is afraid of it shall succumb to yesterday's economic reality. Next, support systems. You see, it is crazy for every single child in the nation to start the school year at the same time and end at the same time, because no two children are exactly alike. Some will need 180 days of school, some 220, some only 100. Differentiating the school year is important. We do it. Equally important is differentiating the investment in schools. You see, poor kids need additional support. They need Saturday school before and after school programs, tutorial programs, scholarship programs to enable them to go to college and university. Treating every single child the same exact way is an equal treatment that leads to inequitable results. To fix inequity, you need disproportionately different inputs, funding support, the best teachers, the best technology. That is the enabling of democracy through appropriate differentiated education. And last, can we agree that perhaps paying teachers more in a society leading to greater level of respect and dignity for what they do, and differentiating the pay on the basis of best results, academically driven and measured fairly annually? Well, I do that in my school system. And while the average teacher salary in America is around $50,000 a year, in my school system, we raise taxes with the community's permission to pay them 20% more because they're delivering better results. So my friends, let me leave you with this. I can tell you that will, as I said, is the most important ingredient. Now, the video and my words may seem harsh or out of touch with reality, but they're not. 500,000 students are benefiting from this craziness of teaching kids by meeting them where they are, by first touching their hearts so their minds open, and by producing best in America results. In fact, if you take my school system away from America and rank it alongside all nations according to PISA and TIMSS, we are the 4th highest producing and performing system in the world. It is not impossible, it is inevitable. And if it worked in Miami, where 75% of the kids are poor, coming from 100 different countries, 95% of them are minority. It can work here in Africa, from Sudan to South Africa, from Angola to Kenya, from Nigeria to Somalia. It can work anywhere and everywhere. You see, failure when it comes to children is not an option. It is not them who fail. It is the adults and what we do that may fail them. For them to succeed, we must change, or we must transform ourselves. So in conclusion, my friends, may I walk 1,000 miles. If I take no child along the journey of education with me, I will have gotten nowhere. May I climb 1,000 mountains. If I did not elevate the knowledge level of a child with me to the mountaintop, so they see what I see, so they learn what I learn, I will not have gotten anywhere. May I swim 1,000 oceans if I do not save a single child from a life of oppression, of desperation, of despair. I have not saved myself. And may I speak 1,000,000 words if I do not use one to inspire a struggling child. I have not said a thing. You see, these are not my words. These are the words of teachers and leaders before me. The profound words of Madiba, who understood that education is the most powerful weapon we have to change the world. They are the words of Malala, who says that in times of silence, a single voice can change the world. And how do you do it? With a pen, with a book, with a voice, with a teacher. You can indeed change the world. So from the impossible to the inevitable, nothing but belief, skill, and will can change a system, a classroom, a nation for the better. Thank you, and God bless you all. I don't know if we have time for one or two questions. If you have no questions, insults are okay.
Yep.
Good morning. I'm Dominic Savage from the Education World Forum in London, but I also, in another life, am a school governor, chair of governors of a school in East London, UK. So what Patrick was saying earlier this morning about London schools and the developments there was very interesting to me, having been through that process of trying to improve a school. My question for you is really about the continuity of a lot of what we've been talking about this morning in terms of the use of data. How significant is that in your system and in the way in which you have taken your school district forward? And importantly, where is the starting point when you start saying to teachers, you need to use more data? It sounds as if it's going to take up more and more of their time, but in the end, does it also save time and improve effectiveness?
Absolutely. So terrific question. Thank you very much for the question. So data is our superpower. We use data analytics and we created dashboards that are updated daily, weekly, or quarterly with interim assessments. The reason why teachers use it and they see benefit in them, number one, they've been trained. Every summer, teachers in my school system, all 22,000 of them, spend 3 weeks in professional development activities for which they're paid. You see, we like to treat them like professionals to refresh and retool their skill set. And one of the critical elements of professional development is data knowledge, data management, and data application, implementation, to differentiate instruction on a basis of individual student performance. So we have powerful data systems. As I said, data is our superpower. The transition, as you asked, begins with our leaders, principals, which I believe is the equivalent of a school governor in London, East or West. Principals are instructional leaders who are data-driven. All of our deployment, all of our implementation is based on actual academic data, social and emotional data, mental health data, attendance data, disruption data, parent income level data, parent participation data, student disability data. We have a dashboard that's replete with data. Actually, we assembled these dashboards ourselves. The second point I'll make is this. It is sort of insane today to operate schools and education, particularly the more we understand how children's brains evolve, develop, and learn, the different domains of intelligence, for us to exclude data from our instructional practice. To be effective and transformative, you have to use data. Now, as I say that, obviously one of the most critical elements of acquiring data is via testing, assessment. Testing should never be a substitute for teaching. But testing that is not onerous, not too time consuming, and can bring in data that addresses multiple domains, that informs teaching and learning, not only to the teacher, demonstrating gaps that children may be facing, but also provide opportunities to report honestly performance to communities, is indispensable in today's school. So I think that answers your question. Thank you for asking it. Yes, ma'am. I only answer easy questions at this time.
Right.
Oh, sir.
Thank you very much. Just a brief, mine is not a question. I'm Aaron, the Minister of Basic Education from Botswana. What the other presenters have said and what you have just said was very clear and loud.
I was more loud than clear, probably.
Right? You were speaking to an African leader. You were speaking to an African head of government. The summary of all your message is that Africa has got a culture of getting things wrong. Because I've made it many times, my officials are here, that our priorities are wrong. It's not the fault of the students that they are failing. We are getting it wrong as their parents. And that's the summary of a message. I want to assure you, next time we come to Botswana, we are getting it right in Botswana. Because we have heard that message many a times, and my priority as a minister, on behalf of my president, is to get it right and make it work. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm actually going to be visiting Botswana in a couple of days. I hope to visit one of your schools. It'll be my pleasure. Yes, we're going to bring up some students very quickly. These are students who produced the best indigenous language video. They are from Glenview 2 Primary School in Zimbabwe. And let me bring up first their teacher, Ms. Tandiwe Mutsengi, and 3 students, remarkable students, and I did see the video. And they are Mamohile Kachambawa, Angel Mapisa, and Tino Mudashe Shigaro. Come on up. Please, another round of applause for these remarkable students and their teacher. much, and congratulations on the leadership you're providing your nations to educate the children of Africa. Thank you very much. God bless you all again.